He's an amazing speaker and he is a book writer. He wrote an amazing book called The Passion Generation. I happened to meet him in Israel and I happened to have a glimpse of that book. It's just phenomenal. And I on that day, I decided that someday we'll have Grant Skeldon with us. And thank you, Grant, for accepting our invitation. And we believe that your word is going to bless each one of us. I think let's put our hands together and welcome Grant Skeldon.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Grant Skeldon. I am in Dallas, Texas right now in my room. It's pretty cool that I get a chance to be with you guys at Youth Alive, all the way in India. But I get the lucky opportunity to be a part of y'all's life for a short time tonight. And just wanted to tell you guys that I am really excited to be with y'all. Love what God is doing with y'all and through y'all. I've heard so much from Bonnie. And so basically, I just want to encourage y'all as young leaders, whether you are, maybe you don't consider yourself a leader or not. I believe that the more you follow God, the stronger you follow God, the better the leader you become. In fact, the best Christian leaders in the world are actually extremely good Christ followers. None of us are technically leaders, but when we follow the best leader that's ever lived, you end up looking a lot like him, living a lot like him, loving a lot like him, and all of a sudden you're realizing that the more you follow him, the more you look like a leader in the world. And so you guys are following him, you guys are searching for him, you guys are seeking after him. And so I just wanted to share, what was that story for me? What did it look like to start following God? And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I grew up, and actually one second, I just want to pray. I know I'm far away. I know I don't get to be right in front of you guys, but I just always pray before I speak, and I think this is a big deal, and so I'm going to pray even here. And so if you give me this moment just to pause, and just for us all to slow down and just pray and give some time to God. So God, thank you for this opportunity to share. Thank you for just everything that you're doing that we're not seeing. Give us eyes to see and ears to hear of the good news that is coming out of all this. Anything that has been used for evil, God, you have a knack for turning into praise and good. You can find a way to redeem and restore. And so I pray for those that are hurting right now because of the virus. I pray for those that are just struggling financially, that are maybe encountering a lot more emotional struggle right now, or just especially for young people, encountering loneliness at higher degrees. And so God, I pray that at the end of this night that you would know, that you would share with each one of us that you are near, you are close, and you're not going anywhere. No matter what comes our way, no matter what happens, you are in our corner, and you are in us, you are for us, you are with us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, y'all, so I don't know about you guys, but for me, I didn't grow up liking church. And honestly, I don't know if I even grew up liking God. I had a mom that took me to church all the time and tried to drag me to church. And I'm the oldest of three boys. So it was three boys and then my dad, and all of us did not follow God, did not want to go to church. In fact, it was so boring. It wasn't like I hated it. I just didn't like being there. It was it did not relate, did not connect. And it seemed like the more I give my life to God, the more I lose joy or fun. Or if I follow God, I'm losing joy, basically. I remember telling myself, I'll become a Christian when I get older, like in my late 20s or early 30s. But I want to have fun now, and then I'll live for him later. Because I did know this. I didn't question, was God real? I didn't question if Jesus was real. I knew God was real. I knew that I was going to go to hell if I died. I knew that there's no way we could look around and see all these things happening and created and just think, oh, it was just an accident. I knew that there was a creator, and I just didn't want to follow or submit to that creator until later. I felt like he was trying to take fun out of my life and instill all these rules onto my life. And so even the idea that we need to love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength, I'm like, goodness, like I gotta give everything. He's a jealous God that wants it all. I was like, I do not want to give everything. I kind of like tacos sometimes, and I kind of like video games, Call of Duty sometimes, and I like playing basketball. I like other things other than God, so I'm not going to be able to give all my strength and all my heart and all my soul. It might sound good, but at the end of the day, I knew I just don't want to do that. I want some other things other than God. I want a little bit of God, but not giving everything to him. And so my mom was always tension, because my mom wanted us to be Christians and wanted us to follow God, but we always pushed back, and she would always try to wake us up on Sunday, and we always gave her a hard time. And so I don't know if this connects. Maybe all you guys went to church, loved going to church, but for me, I struggled. If I ever was there, I was in the back row, just seeing, okay, let's get through this. And so, long story somewhat short, is all of a sudden, I had a week that changed everything. For me in my high school, I was 16 years old. I was playing basketball for years in middle school and in high school. Basketball was what I wrapped my world around. It's what people knew me for. I loved to play basketball, and ball was life, if you guys know that saying. And as well as, I had a girlfriend for 3 years. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you had, I don't know if any of y'all are in a 3-year relationship, but if you're in a 3-year relationship and you're a teenager, you're doing something right, or you're loyal, because I don't find a lot of teenagers that have long relationships. Usually it's like 6 months, maybe a year, and then they break up. But for me, I've been together with this girl for 3 years. And so people in my high school would always see us and think they're gonna get married, or they're gonna be high school sweethearts. And I was the captain. I was on the hip hop. I was playing basketball, which was my identity, and she was the captain of the hip hop team. And so it was like this ghetto high school musical that was in the making, because she was doing hip hop, I was playing basketball, everyone saw us, we were very popular. And then one day, it was Monday morning after I got back from a basketball tournament, my girlfriend says that she wants to break up with me. And with tears in her eyes, I just couldn't see what was going on. She was just crying. I'm like, why is it so hard to say what you're trying to say? And she's like, I want to break up. We need to break up. I cheated on you. And I was just crushed that this girl that I had given my trust to had reoriented my life around, had been vulnerable. Like, as a guy, I had not been that vulnerable and honest and broken with other people as much as I had been with her. And that she would take my heart and then just crush it and break it. And I don't know about you guys, if you've ever been cheated on, or you've ever chased after someone and put them on a pedestal and they don't reciprocate that. It's so defeating and lonely. And so that was just Monday. God had more that he was about to walk me through. And so Wednesday, I go to a basketball practice. I'm not having a good week. Everyone in high school is asking me, what happened to you and this girl? What happened to her? I heard she, and I'm just like, just trying to ignore it, just stuffing it. I'm not talking to anyone about it. I just don't want to deal with it. And so I just try to deal with it by myself, because I don't have God. I don't have strong friends that I could actually process through. I'm just trying to handle it in my own strength. And my mind was just killing me, thinking about all these things of like, why, or why am I not enough, or just all these things about my worth. And then Wednesday, go to basketball practice, get into it with one of the players, probably because I had a short fuse that week, and basically get kicked off the basketball team. And so in 1 week, I lose the two things I wrap everything around in my life. I had built my identity around for years. Everyone that knew me as the basketball player at that school that dates that girl. And now I'm just, who am I? I'm thinking that week, in the next couple weeks, honestly, about a month of just processing, what do I even do? Like, I never realized, I would have never used the word identity back at that time, but I now realize I had placed all my identity in things that really were just temporary. In a relationship with someone, with a sport, and in popularity. And in 1 week it was gone, and I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know where my time was gonna go, because usually if it was after school, I was with her, and if it was during school, I was playing basketball, or if it was weekends, I was at tournaments. And now I'm just like, what do I even do with my time? How do I even find my place? And so as I'm searching, and maybe you're in a place where some of your life is changing, and there's transition, that maybe things are rattling for you, or maybe you look around your friends and you're like, are they really my friends? Like, would they actually love me and stick with me even if my life changed, or even if we didn't do the same thing, or even I said, no, I'm not interested in doing that anymore? Would they still be your friends, or would they leave you behind? And so for me, I realized my friends actually, they weren't there for me once basketball changed. And so here's what happened. I go to a church event similar to Youth Alive. It was called The Mix. And I was 16 years old, And I hear someone tell a testimony that was about my age now. I'm just turned 30. And he talked about how he had placed his identity in the wrong things and had a huge wake-up call. And what he basically did was he placed his identity in football. And I live in Texas. I don't know if you know, in Texas, football is everything. Usually when I go to other countries and I say I'm from Dallas, they always say Dallas Cowboys. Ironically, I'm wearing a Kansas City Chiefs because that's where my mom lives. And they always know Dallas for the Dallas Cowboys. Well, in Texas, football is king. It's everything. And this kid, or this guy, he basically gave his life to football. He said, whenever I played football, I got more popular. Whenever I was good at football, my parents were more engaged and would help me. And whenever I played football, girls liked me more. And he said, especially whenever I did good at football, my dad would be more involved in my life. And he would be more proud of me when I succeeded in football. And he said the most empty, lonely moment of his life was when he finally won the Texas State Championship, which is huge in Texas. Is he got to hold the trophy, best football team in the whole state of Texas. And he said when he finally won that trophy and he finally got to hold it his senior year, he said he felt empty. He said, I thought it'd be so much more satisfying than this, but I was so surprised by how much I was like, man, is this it? I lived my whole life. I tried to do all this work striving to get to this place because I got affirmation and acceptance and love for doing this. And is this all that it gives? And so I don't know about you, if you've ever chased after something, then you finally got it and realized, actually, I just want more of it, or I need something else, or it's not enough. If you ever got a new pair of shoes, or you ever got a new phone, you're like, especially if you ever got some shoes, you take care of it the first week. You don't want anyone to touch on it. You touch them, step on them. You do anything you can to keep them clean. And then you find yourself 6 months later and you take them off, you just throw them in your closet. These things that we put our value in and we think are going to give some temporary satisfaction, give exactly that, just very temporary. And there's a verse, Ecclesiastes 3:11, where God says that basically that God placed eternity into man's heart. Just want to repeat that God placed eternity into your heart. Like you watching today, he placed eternity in your heart. And what that means is that he placed an eternal, insatiable desire for things that were bigger than what this temporary world can give. That God placed an insatiable desire, a desire that cannot be satisfied by anything other than eternity. And this is very important because when I became a Christian, I was like, that finally makes sense. That why nothing in this world can satisfy. This is what C.S. Lewis said, who wrote Chronicles of Narnia. He said, if you find that nothing in this world can satisfy, then you can only conclude maybe you weren't made for this world. Maybe you were made for another world. He would say heaven. Maybe you were made for a world that God has intended for us and we have broken. And so he also said that we are like cars that run on fuel, but instead we run on God. Humans run on God. People run on God. And so think about this, that if we have an insatiable desire for eternity, God placed eternity in our hearts. It makes a lot of sense why when the rich young ruler says, how do I find eternal life? He says, well, simply love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind. And love people. Love your neighbor as you would love yourself. I always used to think God was saying, give me everything and don't give it to anybody else. But because he was like needy, or because he was just so demanding, or he was just trying to put all these rules on us, he was trying to take. And now I finally realized God's not trying to take from you. God's not trying to rob you of joy. He's not going to try to take life from you. John 10:10 says he came to bring life and life to the fullest degree. Like you think you have had life, but you have not experienced life to the fullest degree until you continually give him everything, and you have an insatiable desire in your heart to give him all of you. And it's not because he wants to take from you, it's because he wants to give to you. He's basically saying, like if a car was made to run on fuel, he's saying you were made to run on me. I am the only eternal thing that can satisfy. A relationship cannot satisfy, friends cannot satisfy, getting something new cannot satisfy, wealth and status cannot satisfy. All these things pass away. I mean, even in the virus right now, who has not been affected? Have rich people got away and not been affected by this? Have poor people got away and not been affected by this? Have different races, different ethnicities, different countries? Everybody, this is a great equalizer. But there is a difference for us that have hope in God, is that we know the creator of all things. We know who is in control of all things, and we know who can provide even when we cannot. And so my point is this, is that if you were made to run on God, how long are you going to run from God? How long are you going to run from his ways and his life and what he's trying to give? And I get it. Maybe you're like, nah, I don't want to give him this, or I don't want to give him that. I give him this much, but I don't want to give him everything. But I would tell you, if you're holding back a little, you're not saving yourself to have life. You're actually stopping yourself from having life. And so what I would tell you is, again, he's not trying to take from you. He's trying to give to you life, and life to the fullest. And here's a big part that changed my story, is I didn't just get saved. It was March 8, 2006. So it's been almost 14 years that I've been a believer, is I give my life to Christ. And 2 weeks after I get saved, and this is really what I want us to tell you about, is one, I would tell y'all, if you have an idol in your life that you think you find your identity in, and it's not God, I'm telling you, it's one day going to let you down if it hasn't already. That's first and foremost. You can't be a leader if you're not secure in Christ. If you're not secure in Christ, you're always going to be trying to find your value in leading. You're going to find your value in acceptance. You're going to find your value in other things. Real quick analogy before I tell you what shifted my story is, I don't know if all y'all have cars. I don't know. I've never been to India before, but if you ever get to Dallas, you got a place to stay here. And so for me in America, I got a car when I was 16 years old. I had to work at a clothing store to get it. And here in America, we often can be, and maybe you think about maybe your phone. I don't know if you've ever been in a position where it's like you're looking for your phone everywhere. You just don't know where you place it. You don't know. And we always lose our keys or our phone or our wallet whenever we're in a rush. It's like, okay, I gotta go to this thing, or I gotta be here. And you're like, where's my phone? And you start asking your family, your roommates, whatever your situation is. And you're like, hey, where's my phone? Have you guys seen my phone? Have you seen my keys? Have you seen my wallet? Each one of you guys, if you're with some of your friends potentially, you know who that person is who always loses their stuff. Maybe you are that person. You always lose your stuff. And it's like always slowing everyone down. It's like, oh my God, again, this kid. She always loses it. He always loses it. And so you gotta wait on this person to find it. And whenever we're in a rush or you have a group waiting on you, you're looking everywhere. You're like, okay, I remember a situation I could have found my keys, and I'm looking everywhere to find my keys. Like my brother, hey, have you seen them? I'm looking places I don't think had been, because I have not even been there, but I just need to find them. And I'm in a rush. I'm getting anxious. I'm starting to get worried. Start sweating. I was just so ready to go. I just didn't realize I didn't have my keys yet. And if you've ever been in that situation, for me, what happened was my brother came up to me. He's like, look, you've been looking for them everywhere. Have you checked your pockets? Is that not the stupidest question ever? Have you checked my pockets? I've looked everywhere. I'm asking the cat and the dog, do you know where my phone is? Like, do you know where my keys are? Do you know where my stuff is? And you're asking me if I check my pockets. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation that someone says that. Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's your keys, maybe it's your wallet. And so I check my pockets, like whatever. And I find my keys in my pocket. I don't know how. I would not have checked it. I don't know how I would have felt it. But my keys were in my pocket. And my brother got to say, I told you so. But here's what I've noticed, is that is what we do all the time with God. Is that we find our value in something else and we're striving for it. We're trying to find it. Okay, where can do you guys know where? You're just trying to find it everywhere. And God's like, have you checked your pockets yet? Like, do you already know that you already are valuable to me? You already have it in you. You have it with you. Like, you don't need to find your acceptance, find your value, find your worth anywhere else. It's not going to be in a guy. It's not going to be in a girl. It's not going to be in how people see you. It's not going to be in something you accomplish. It's not going to be in gaining a certain status. It's not going to be in finally getting able to afford something and then wear it or drive it or have it. It's not going to be any of that. You could strive your whole life and it will be vanity. Or you could just listen to God who's saying, have you checked your pockets? I've already placed it in you. I've given it to you. I've died on the cross for you. You don't have to find acceptance anywhere else. This actually happened with Jesus. Have you ever thought about the fact that Jesus got baptized? Like, Why would a sinless man need to get baptized? He doesn't need to be washed of any sin. He doesn't need an expression of his faith. He's lived a perfect, sinless life. And one of my favorite parts of that story is when Jesus gets baptized, the Father actually shows up. And it's the first time in a long time, maybe even since Genesis, that we see the Trinity. We see the Holy Spirit. We see through a dove. We see the Father in his voice. We see the Son getting baptized. And as they show up, the Father says in a deep Lion King type of voice, I don't know if you guys know Lion King much, but there's Mufasa. I always feel like that's the way that God probably talks, is like Mufasa, where he's like, Simba, you deliberately disobeyed me. And so my dad's South African, for whatever reason, I know how to sound like Mufasa, where he's like, everything the light touches is my kingdom. And so as God shows up, he says, this is my son, or this is my son, with who I am well pleased. That God sees his son getting baptized and said, this is my son, with who I am well pleased. And you guys already probably know that verse, and maybe you don't, but I had never noticed that God says he is well pleased with his son before his son had ever done anything for him. Jesus had never healed anyone yet. Jesus had never turned water into wine. Jesus had never raised Lazarus from the dead. Jesus had not gone to the cross. Jesus hadn't done anything, and the Father was already pleased with him. Jesus didn't have to live for approval. Jesus lived from approval. And I just want to again encourage y'all that you could easily start tomorrow morning or even tonight going to bed, checking your phone. If you often go to bed and before you should go to bed you think, oh, let me check my phone real quick and see what people think of me. Let me see if they like what I posted. Let me see if they see what I see. Let me see how many views I have on my stories. Let me see what people think about me. You could live for approval or you could live from approval. If you're going to bed and you're waking up and the first thing you want to know is what people think about you and you're checking your phone, it's a sign that you're not running from approval. You're running for approval. You're trying to find the approval in something other than God. And God's saying, have you even checked your pockets? I've already given you the approval, the acceptance. You don't have to live for approval anymore. You're living from it. He loves you. He cares for you. He has died for you. It's already done. Now you get to live in victory, not for victory or to get to that status. And so I know that this is so important because some of you guys, I don't know if you're all in middle school, high school, college, or how that even works, but I know if you're out of high school, you might have gone to school with some kids, and it's like, are your friends even the same friends that they were 3 or 4 years ago? Or if I look at pictures of you on Facebook or Instagram, are you even wearing the same type of clothes that you wore 4 or 5 years ago? Like, has your friend group, has your style, has the way you acted, has it changing every 3 to 4 years? And if so, it just means you keep changing so that you can be liked or be like the group of people you want to be accepted by. And I'm telling you, the Father is saying, stop chasing, stop striving, stop searching everywhere to find it when I've already given it to you. I've already given you worth and value. Stop trying to live for approval and live from approval. He's given it to you. He loves you. Because of what the Son has done on our behalf, him taking our sinfulness in exchange giving us his righteousness, you don't have to live for the approval of men anymore. You have been given so much grace, so much mercy, so much kindness, and he has now not just that you get to get saved, you get to be used and leveraged and do something to change your city and your neighborhood and the legacy of your family. I pray and hope that that's a huge deal to you, that you want to live a better life and set up the trajectory of your family. It's something different. And so lastly, what I couldn't encourage you more, and what happened to me is after I gave my life to Christ, hearing that testimony, I just said to myself, I'm tired of living for the approval of others. I'm tired of trying to find it somewhere else and then get cheated on or lose my spot on the basketball team or all these things. I could go find something else to replace it, or I could just give my life to God because he's always been there. He's been patient with me. And if I'm going to be the prodigal son, then it's time to come home today. And so I gave my life to Christ that night. And 2 weeks after I gave my life to Christ, one of the pastors at the church says, hey, I saw that you gave your life to Christ. We got your information. I just want to ask you a couple questions. He said, are you in any type of community with other Christians? I said, no. Are your parents Christian? I said, my mom is, my dad is, and my brothers aren't. And he said, well, what what's your plan? I said, dude, I didn't even think I was going to be a Christian that night. I said, the only reason I went to church was because my girlfriend broke up with me, and me and my friend knew there were a lot of girls at that church, and so we went. I'll just be honest with you, man, I don't know what it even looks like. And he said, I want to mentor you, and I want to disciple you, and I want to pour into you. And I want to pour into you so that you can pour into your school. And it was such a beautiful thing because he started pouring into me and investing in me and challenging me and seeing gifts in me and speaking life into that. And he also allowed me to join a group of other young Christian leaders. And I think it's so huge is you want to horizontally, you want to have other young people around your age that you can run with that are pushing you towards God, that are pushing you towards the vision God has given you, that are holding you accountable. If you have friends that aren't pushing you to be so stronger, better, if they're pulling you down, it's going to be very, very hard to follow God. You need to have horizontally friends that are like the disciples. Like you need a community, but then you also need Paul to a Timothy. You need someone who's going to pour into you. And so for me, that was Kevin Batista. I don't know who that is for you, but I want to tell you the best way to find who can disciple you is find who's someone older than you that you one day want to do what they're doing. Maybe it's in their job, maybe it's in their career, maybe it's at your church. Is who do you want to be like and how do you follow them? Don't just, if you can, meet with them, but try not to just meet with them, try to follow them, try to join them. I know with the virus going on right now, it's going to be hard to follow someone, but maybe it's even doing a Zoom call with them. Like, how can you send them a couple questions? This is what I want to learn from you. And if you prepare those questions and show them, hey, I want to grow in these areas. These are the questions I have. Could you give me 30 minutes? Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's a letter, dude. They will be shocked to see a young person writing a letter. I'm telling you, you got to be different if you want to get ahead. But the great thing is the bar is so low. And so I would just tell you, find someone who can disciple you, because discipleship is following someone. It's not just meeting with someone. It's not just listening to someone. It's how do you join the world? So when this pandemic ends, I would love to know that you guys have stopped chasing after the approval of man. Stop chasing after the approval of people your age or your friends and start living from the approval of God. But you also start living with guidance and wisdom from the generation that has gone before us, because we have so much to learn from them. And you could either waste a lot of time learning the lessons they already learned, or you could, there's a saying, we learn from our mistakes. I always say, I don't want to learn from my mistakes. I want to learn from your mistakes. I want to learn from old people's mistakes. And so you want to find who are the older people who are doing what you want to do, or they are being like you want to be. Maybe it's their character, something you see in them, and you're like, can you teach me how to read the Bible? Can you teach me how to pray like you pray? Can you teach me to be a father like you're a father? Because I didn't have a strong father. Or how to be a mother like you are, because I didn't have a mom that was invested and intentional like you. You want to use this time, because you have so much time right now, to see how do you gain wisdom and learn how to be like those that you one day want to be like. Rather than just hope you get there, find those people that are already there and ask them to mentor you, ask them to disciple you. For me, last story I'll tell you is the way that I get discipled is I trick them. I trick them to disciple me, because I'm usually trying to find very strong leaders, and strong leaders are busy. They don't have the time usually. And so what's beautiful is if you just ask to meet with them, they have to find some time in their calendar. But if you join them and follow them, then you could actually join their life. And you're not asking them to change their calendar. You're just saying, can you add me to your calendar and include me in your calendar? You don't have to do anything new. Just let me come to something that you're already doing. And so for me, you could join their family life, maybe go to a dinner with their family if they'll let you. Their work life, maybe there's something they're working on, maybe especially if it's a pastor at church or staff, you can help with the project they're doing. Maybe it's their work life, their church life, their family life, but I always like to start with their personal life. If you see someone you want to be like, see someone doing what you one day want to do, see what is something they like to do that is like a hobby to them, or something that they enjoy doing that, I don't know, they're just not excited about. For me, there was a man that was a huge, very, very successful business leader. He was an architect for huge companies here in the nation, and he's so busy. It took me 6 months to get a meeting with him. But when I got a meeting with him, when I came in, I knew there was something that he liked to do, because I wanted to get more time with him. And I asked him, can we start meeting more regularly? And he said, honestly, I'm really, really busy. And so I did something. I trick them. What I would tell you is you got to find what do they like to do and how can you join them in that. And so for me, I found out this guy likes to run and he likes to jog. And so I don't like to run and like to jog, but I told him this. I said, hey, I've actually been really trying to get into running and jogging. This was the night after I met with him. I texted him and said, hey, I've been trying to get into running and jogging. Is there any chance I could run with you soon? And he said, if you really want to run with me, then how about you meet me tomorrow at 4? And I'm just thinking, wow, 4 in the morning, I'm going to have to not just wake up, I'm going to have to be at his office at 4 in the morning. I don't know about y'all, I do not wake up anywhere near the number 4, and that's not going to be in my alarm clock at all. But I knew this was the only opportunity. I checked my calendar. I wasn't doing anything at 4, and so I wake up as close as to 4 as I can while still getting there so I can get as much sleep as possible, and I get there right at 4 o'clock. And I love to tell y'all, man, y'all, this was the best discipleship story I've ever had, an experience I ever had, but it wasn't. It wasn't the worst, but it definitely wasn't the best. Is what basically happened is he did not even show up at all. He doesn't even show up. I'm waiting. Okay, maybe he's gonna come now. I'm waiting. About 30, 45 minutes. I text him, hey, are you coming? It's 4 a.m., it's dark, sun's not out. The Lord's not even awake yet. I'm thinking, where is this dude? Around 7 a.m., this guy texts me. I am so sorry, he says. When I said 4, I meant 4 p.m., not 4 a.m. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But inside, I'm like, I'm so glad he didn't show up. Because here's one thing I knew is, this bro is about to know that I am so serious about getting poured into and getting time with him that I will even show up at 4 a.m. thinking that's what time he asked. And he's laughing at me thinking that I showed up at 4 and feels bad like he owes me because I actually did show up when he said 4. Who the heck runs at 4 p.m.? And so if you're going to chase after God, I will tell you this again, don't live for the approval of man, live from the approval of God. Find someone who's doing what you want to do and get discipled by them. And then lastly, they must make themselves available for you, but you also have to be hungry. There is no way you can get discipled. No way you can grow as a leader. No way you can get into a new place in your life. If you like being where you are, if you look at your life, you're like, I am so happy. I don't feel lonely at all. I feel exactly where I want to be. I feel all this. I would just ask you, how's it working for you? Not going God's way. But if you are going God's way, if you are giving your life to Him, even when it's hard, there's something about it that it just feels right and it feels worthy and it feels like satisfying. And so, again, I'll just tell you, there's no way you're going to get there though without hunger. And so don't live for the approval of man, live from the approval of God. Find someone who can disciple you and then give everything for it and watch what God does in the next 10, 20, 30 years. I'm thankful for you guys. I'm excited for y'all. I hope that, and I want to pray real quick, just that God would find and highlight who that is to get discipled by, and just remind you, you are not alone. I'll pray with y'all real quick. God, thank you for my friends at Youth Alive. Thank you for everything they're doing. Thank you for who they are, just the stories I've already heard. So just your faithfulness and your glory already being shown. And Lord, I just want to quote real quick your last verse that you give to us. When you say in the Great Commission, you say, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. But your final words to us was, and behold, I am with you always. God, I hope that each person hearing this today knows that you are with them right now. You have not gone anywhere. No matter what their situation is, you are with them right now, and you are with them always, God. Let us give our life to you and forgive us when we chase after things that are temporary and will not satisfy us. Forgive us when we give our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength to things that will not give life to the fullest. We need you, we love you, and we can't believe that you love us far, far more than we ever deserve. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.